We have now interrupted your regularly scheduled programming to bring you.
I decided to start taking a different approach, in this relationship. I think early on I came in like, hey, you get 2 drink max, bop, 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 bop. And she didn't respond well to that.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
It was reasons for that too. Let me say that.
I have a good time. Life of the party right here.
It's not the man leads and the woman follows. That's not what we live in this house, at all. So for me, I have a wife that works not just as hard, harder than I. And she had her own career. She had her own life before I came along. So from my perspective, it was like, okay, how can I be a part of the growth and the evolution of who she is and not trying to change her?
Welcome back to another installment of the Warheads. I'm Apocalypto Joe.
I'm Roscoe Brown.
I'm Silk Threads.
I'm Aisha.
And before we get started, Aisha has something to say about Mental Health Awareness Month. Go, sister.
I just wanted to remind the fans that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Check on your people. That one phone call might save a life. And I'm going to show my pretty shirt.
That ain't all you showing.
Really? I didn't make that shirt.
Check on your people, y'all.
Yeah, check on your people. And to add a little bit of perspective to Mental Health Awareness Month, right now, of those that suffer from mental health illness, 40% will suffer from substance abuse, 24% will suffer from depression, another 13% from anxiety, 10% from eating disorders, 8% from bipolar disorder, and 5% from psychotic disorders. So check on your people. We know we have a lot of people out here, Asperger's, autism, you name it. Just make sure your people are safe, make sure they're getting the proper health. A lot of empathy and a lot of love goes a long way. That being said, we are here for another reason. I'm sure everybody on the panel has seen the video that's going viral right now on social media with Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union, and how Dwyane Wade has essentially given the pants to his wife. And I wanted to get you guys' take on this issue of a man saying he doesn't have to lead in his household. So, Silk,
Ball.
you up next, bro.
Man, I can't comprehend this. Technically, I'm a man's man. I've been taught to be a leader. I have no problem with my mate, I guess, being an equal, but I honestly believe when like situations arise and opinions have to be shared, that a man should lead and be a person that a female would want to follow or be submissive to, and there's a difference between subservient and submissive. If a woman has no problem being submissive to Jesus and she ain't never seen him, then I see no problem with her being submissive to the man that she's around 24 hours a day. And I'll just put a pin in it right there. And, does anybody else have an opinion?
That's a very good point.
Let me real quick, speaking of submission, and I'm not extremely super spiritual. I walk around toting the Bible, but I am going to quote the verse. So it's Ephesians 5:22, and it basically says, "Wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church." So what that means is that not that she's less than, not that he's degrading her or she should be in servanthood, but it just basically means that when you have a case in point, say for instance, if me and Roscoe, we got a whole family, and I'm like, we need a new car, and he's like, okay, let's go get a car. So I decide we got 5 kids. Jesus, five kids. And I'm like, let's get a drop top. And he like, no, baby, it's not feasible for the family.
You've been busy, Aisha.
I mean, it happens. But he's like, it's not feasible for the house. I'm like, no, it's red. It's a drop top. I look good in it. And I'm sure you look good in it too. That verse to me is saying that I can give an opinion to my husband, Roscoe, and he can say, Aisha, that doesn't benefit the family. He can say, we got these 5 kids, let's get this little minivan so we can take them to soccer practice or whatever. And it gives him the last say so, which means he has the final say so. So he asked me my opinion, I gave it, and then he came up with what was feasible for the family. So he has the final say so. I think that a lot of times we get real caught up into what they show us on the media when it comes to these two. Who's to say that he's not the head of the house? Who's to say that he's not the provider? Who's to say that he's not making the decisions? I think that a lot of the stuff that was with his son or whatever, his son, his daughter, whatever it is, I think that he's doing that for support. And now I could be all the way wrong because y'all know I don't follow too much or nothing. But I just think that we, as the general public, might be playing way too much into what's going on in the Wade's house. That's all I got.
Ooh. My thoughts. All right. I'm gonna put this in terms that probably Dwyane Wade should probably be familiar with. And let's just put it in these terms, as if relationship is like a basketball team. And we know that in a basketball team, the team is working in unison, kind of like what Aisha just said, and in a different type of way. But yeah, you have the team who's working in unison, but there's a dynamic and a breakdown in the team, a totem pole, if you will, of who carries what responsibilities and where they rank in that dynamic, So when it comes to that, you do have on the team more times than not a player who is the leader of the team, or to get even more technical, you have the coach of the team, So you have the players who, when they are in huddles, they're able to speak to each other and converse about their ideas about how the team should conduct themselves and what have you. But at the end of the day, the coach, the management, is going to make the final say and what's going to happen with the team. And I look at that. I look at relationships in the same manner for men and women. The men, I think, should be taking the more dominant role, only because, there's a lot of different reasons. I don't want to get into like biblical reasons. I'm not, I consider myself spiritual, not the most religious person by any stretch, but I do think that the male should take the lead role. And but I do think that this is something that when the relationship is first being established, that it should be like completely discussed between the couple, this whole thing. So that's just my whole take on it.
Yeah. And just to kind of, once again, take off from where Rodney left off. Roscoe, sorry about that. Where Roscoe left off.
I'm about to say Rodney like 20 times.
I'm pretty well versed in the Bible, but I don't think there's anything Christian going on in that household. So I'm not even going to invoke that at this moment. What I will say is socially, and we think about rank and file on a chessboard. A queen, she's the most powerful piece on the board. But what's her job? To protect the king. When you think about the military, you have privates, you have sergeants, you have captains, but the way that this household is set up, the guy that's supposed to be in charge, he's like, my wife, she pretty much does what she wants to do. Now, this is why I have a problem with Dwyane Wade pretty much giving up his power and authority. We look at the dynamic of a family. I think it's the comedian Jeff Brown. He always brings up how his wife's word is first, but his word is last. And Aisha, you kind of alluded to that earlier. There has to be a true definitive decision maker. It can't just be a bunch of ambiguity in a household. The reason why their stance is so problematic, we already live in a society where men and women are competing with one another on the financial side of the game, status, you name it. And so when you have two people in the same household competing, just to allude to the Bible, a house that stands against itself a house against itself, divided against itself, cannot stand. You can't really have someone coming in and undermining the headship. First of all, he's the father of those children. I know they have a daughter together, but what happens when there needs to be a true decision made for the kids? Does he acquiesce to Gabrielle? Is he making a decision? Like there was a lot that went unspoken. But the point that I wanted to bring up is in the interview at the very beginning. If you go back and watch it, and I'll tag it to this video, he literally says that at the beginning of their relationship, he had a problem with her drinking. She had a very, very big, and I don't think it's a had, I think she has a very big drinking problem. And she tries to gloss it over by saying she was the life of the party. So I did a little bit of research. And the definition of being the life of the party is this: a clown, a jokester, an actor, which she is a pretty good actress, a harlequin, a humorist, a buffoon. It also goes on to bring out that they're a practical jokester, a prankster, and most importantly, a fool. So Dwyane Wade, you're giving your authority and your power as a man over to a fool who's prone to go get drunk, of her own admission that she was the life of the party. And we could just only imagine how inappropriate she was behaving for that to be an issue. I can't say what level the manipulation was to get him to back down, but if a man has a problem with his woman's behavior when she drinks and gets drunk, that is a red flag. And for that reason alone, I think Dwyane is an idiot for handing over his power to this type of woman. Y'all got anything else to say?
No, right?
I was trying to let. I was gonna let the lady go first again.
No, I'm good. Yeah, go ahead.
Good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree, Joe. I can't really understand any scenario where you as a man would give up the right, technically, to have a positive input or be a motivation to your family, and to just let your woman just be out there by herself, because most women already don't think they need men for anything anyway. The toys and everything is really putting that man image out of the game. So, why do she have to listen to you when the only thing she give a damn about goes, So she don't want to hear your noise, especially if she feels she's making, and a lot of it comes from women making more money than men, being awarded more opportunities, either be it the government is paying them or they out making it themselves. But if she don't need you financially, she's definitely not listening to you socially. And that's a fact.
And I agree with you. So let's just get a little bit deeper. Relationships that are financially based, those are some of the worst relationships. If you're not connected if you're not connected to somebody on a spiritual level, a deep, profoundly spiritual level, you're probably just in a transactional relationship. Once the money goes, the relationship goes, and therefore you never had anything in the first place. And so the one thing I want to point out about this particular dynamic between the two, and I had to research this as well. Gabrielle Union is almost 50 years old. So she has almost a decade of life experience over this man who, as an athlete, you tend to live in a bubble. I've been around athletes for a very long time, and they're not really worldly. You know, they're catered to, pandered to, you name it. But she's been around these Hollywood types, you know, probably
We know how that is.
in the San Fernando Valley. For all I know, this is just speculation. You know,
Allegedly.
Right.
And coming to a man like that who doesn't have as much worldly experience as she has, he's easily pliable. He's easily manipulated and can be emotionally moved to do a whole bunch of things that he probably shouldn't be doing. I'm not saying that happened, but like I said in that interview, she admits to being the life of the party, and he admits to him having a problem with that. So at what point did he have a problem with that and then all of a sudden say, I don't have a problem with that anymore? Did she stop drinking? I doubt that. So in between those two decisions, I'm sure there was a lot of manipulation, or maybe a little bit of manipulation going on, but some manipulation, which is essentially evil, was going on. You got anything, Roscoe? I'm just adding fuel to this fire.
Yeah, no, it's all good. The thing that I think about when I think about this is just the perceptions that are being put out. The images that are being put out when you do something like this, when you say something like this, and you're celebrity, so you know people are kind of following and watching your every move, and so when you say stuff like this, people really take this to heart a lot of the times. And so I think Silk alluded to this a little bit, and just how women are already in a position in this world where they are making more money than men in a lot of respects. They have become pretty much the forefront of the household for a lot of different reasons. So women have just become empowered to the point, like Silk said again, to where they've become independent of men and not needing men, or looking at men in a lesser light. So when they do have relationships with men, they tend to take the more dominant role in those relationships, given the man, if they're dealing with some beta asshole. But yeah, and I probably shouldn't have said that, because beta may be the way for some people.
Let me ask a question, because having money, that's truly a false power. First of all, we are dealing with a fiat currency right now. All fiat currencies return to their original value of zero. And we can see the dollar going that way. The hyperinflation is already on the rise. Even before the show started, we were just talking about how a plant in Japan that makes the microchips for cars, got burnt, and how they're probably going to have a shortage of brand new vehicles for the next couple of years. When it comes to finances, that's not true power, because money has an ebb and flow to it. Sometimes you're high on the hog, sometimes you're low. And so even if women are the breadwinners, what good is it to have a financially stable home when it's toxic because the emotions are out of control? There's no true spiritual foundation for the children, no true emotional intelligence. Like, is that really a household to aspire to be a part of? And I'm throwing this panel to this question to the panel. Aisha, I want to know how you feel about that as a woman.
It's really hard for me to comment on stuff that I don't know about. And on the reason why I say that, because I didn't grow up in that sense. I grew up in a 2-parent household, whereas my daddy was the head and he asked my mom, and I mean, decisions were made jointly. Even case in point, in my household, first husband, second husband, he was the head. I mean, I've never, well, what you doing and why you doing it? That's not me. So it's hard for me to even give any dialect on that. My thing is just like, even in the Facebook group, I was saying, and I was kind of joking around because I knew I would get a rise out of a couple of people, and dude he was like, "That's what I'm talking about. You think like
jump
that?"
right on the hook.
And I'm like, "Well, who the hell is them?" And I wanted to be like, "Sir, I don't even know what's going on. I'm just really chiming in." But anyway, my thing is just that I don't know. Is it for show? You know what I mean? Is it really for show? Is he doing this so they can stay relevant? You know what I mean? It could be a whole different ball game. What's going on in their house? You know what I mean? So we don't know because we're not there. Now, granted, we're all visual people. So when you see when you see stuff like this in videos and things of that nature, you can't help but to think something totally different. But if you don't know no better, you can't do better. You know what I mean? This is probably how he grew up. This is probably how she grew up. I've been aware of most of my girlfriends for a very long time. I'm the only person that I know, truth be told, that grew up in a 2-parent household, and my daddy was there and they were married, and not that he was just the baby daddy there. You know what I mean? So if you don't know better, you can't do better. Even though I've been married twice, my husbands knew that they were the head of the household until I was like, "No, I'm gone." And you know what I mean? But on the same token, if you don't know no better, you can't do any better. So that's probably all they know. They mimic what they see. It's I don't know.
Aisha, three times a charm. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
She said that they might be basically playing around, I guess, whatever the way.
Doing it for show.
But isn't that forcing a false narrative to the people that don't know it's for show and think this is real life and the way it should be? Aren't they the promoters of that type of propaganda?
But then again, that goes to show you, when do you take ownership for your own self? I mean, like, I get it. They're stars. They're in the limelight. We strive to maybe be somewhat like them. But when do you stop and be like, stop trying to keep up with the Joneses? You know what I mean? When do you not see it for face value? That's just what they do. If that's what they get down and that's what they do, that's on them. But when do we stop keeping up with the Joneses and realize that Aisha's household is Aisha's household? And because D Wade want to color his hair or paint his toes, that's not going to make me convince my son that that's okay. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think that sometimes that we give these people way too much power over.
They take too much power. We don't give them anything. They take whatever they want because they take their rights, they take their opinions. They take the flag, they take the rainbow, they take the alphabet, they take everything they want, right. And they force the narrative. I have never in my life before now seen that it's hard to be straight. If you say you straight, then somebody say, "Oh, you homophobic because you say you straight." I can't declare that I'm straight, but I can holler from the rooftop that I'm everything other than a human. I can be identified as a ghost before I'm identified as a straight, because now I'm toxic. You're a chauvinist, and that's also the dynamic that I'm seeing him doing too. He's regressing and effeminating himself, and he's getting, in a way, it seems like that he's doing that as a deterrent for being labeled as a toxic male. You know what? For me, that kind of stuff, and whether that's Wade or not, I'm not sure. I'm not in his shoes, so I don't know. But people in like situations, you just see these dudes
especially when they celebrities like this, people who are in the limelight, who, like Joe V said earlier about the circles that they run in. For her, she more than likely ran in circles with people who are way more or much more versed as far as their living experiences and their education level and what have you. When Wade has been around, you know, guys who have been hooping they whole life, and they've been to college. A lot of these guys, but a lot of these guys are one and done dudes. They, you know, they only went to college just to hoop, you know. So that's kind of the circle that he ran in. So, you know, again, like Joe said, it just kind of speaks to the way that maybe she'd be able to manipulate the situation with this dude, because she's had these experiences that give her kind of a leg up on this guy. So, you know, it's just sad. And again, y'all are right about these guys being effeminated, because I do think it's part of it's a targeted thing. It's part of a process that's been happening with our people, with our men in particular, for like quite a while, you know. And it's something that makes the rest of the world comfortable, I guess, to have us be softer men. But yeah, you know, I just don't think that we shouldn't appease to anybody else as far as trying to make people comfortable. They should be comfortable or not comfortable or whatever, and we should care or not care, or really not care. But yeah, just don't give a fuck and do us, and, you know, don't worry about how people are looking at us. So I don't know what Wade doing over there, because I know some of his people too. You know, I done kicked it with him. I done met his dad, all that. But yeah, no, this is weird. I don't know.
I wonder though.
Mom's a pastor.
I did kind of joke on Facebook, the group, that you know, maybe he dummying down because of what he did to his first wife. You know, maybe he figures that that he trying to, you know, do it. Maybe he feel like it's the right way to do it this time. Like I don't know.
I just want to triple back to something that you said earlier, Aisha, about when is it that households are going to look at themselves and govern their household accordingly. The thing of it is this: people are always looking for an excuse, especially when it comes to celebrity. They justify a lot by saying, well, if this famous person can do this, this lifestyle can work for me. There's a reason why this particular family is being thrusted out there and pushed out there. One thing I know about the media is very deliberate. They force a narrative as they see fit. You can look at commercials and movies, and, you know, the interracial thing is what's being pushed out there. The gay thing is what's being pushed out there. The transgender thing is what's being pushed out there. And to each their own. But when it comes to the nuclear family and how we know that it traditionally can work with a husband and a wife working in tandem as a team, but the husband taking the lead, we know that that's being under attack, the way that the media is forcing all these other narratives. And I have some ideas. I could go into them about population control and all this other stuff, but that's another story for another episode. However, where this is concerned, if there's any real men out here, don't give up your power and your authority. Just govern in love. You know, what does the scripture say? Love your wife as you love yourself. Govern like that, and you'll be able to make good decisions. If you wouldn't want harm to come to yourself, then you wouldn't want harm to come to the wife that you say you love. And lead like that. But to just give your power over to a woman who's an admitted fool, life of the party, as she says, as she tried to gloss it over, I don't know. At any rate, did y'all have any shout outs or anything y'all want to say?
No.
Just make sure you can check up on your people. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Check up
on your people.
Oh, I do want to say that everybody should like, comment, and subscribe to our show. You know, make sure that you hit the bell, all that good stuff. You know, if you please, would do that, it would be helpful. So just want to say that. That's it.
And I say, once again, so they don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. And then you can also hit me on IG at Silk Threads and get you some of this custom wear.
Go get some of Silk's clothes. Warheads out. Go up your W, Aisha.
I'm not, because y'all talk about
Put them together. Put them together.
We're going to make that drawing on the piece of paper next time.
There it is.
That's what's going to happen.
I know.
Peace.
Damn!